Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the 2021 IAAO Town Hall. This virtual event is focused on you, our members, who passionately participate in our association day in and day out. Throughout the Town Hall, if you have any questions, we encourage you to send those in by using the chat function. IAAO staff will do their best to answer your questions throughout by responding via chat. However, we may answer some additional questions at the conclusion of today's Town Hall. But now, I would like to turn it over to our IAAO President, Greg McHenry, and IAAO Executive Director, Deborah McGuire. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2021 Town Hall, broadcasting from finally warm downtown Kansas City in the IAAO studios, sponsored by Tyler Technologies. I'm Greg McHenry, IAAO 2021 President, and joining me is IAAO's new Executive Director, Deborah McGuire. If you had told me when I first ran for election to the IAAO board that as president, I would be doing live, online, video conferences with members, I don't know that I would have believed it. But between updates in technology and finding new ways to work in the new COVID environment, we're truly in an electronic world. Last November, the IAAO Board of Directors approved funding for this studio, and I would like to thank, again, Tyler for their wonderful sponsorship.
We have many uses planned for our studio, from today's town hall to webinars, educational course production and presentations, tapings, broadcasts to chapters, affiliates, and industry meetings. Earlier this month, Greg and I presented to the Alabama chapter of IAAO, and we look forward to doing similar meetings here in the future.
We invited IAAO members to today's virtual town hall, as a lot will have happened since we last met in Niagara Falls at the 2019 annual conference. And when we hope to meet in Chicago in August. The biggest change is that we have a new executive director. I am very, very glad to have the opportunity to introduce Deborah to our membership. She succeeds Ron Worth, who retired at the end of September. I'd also like to thank Ron for everything he did while he was at IAAO. And I'd like to thank Paul Welcome for serving as interim director during the time frame. Deborah is no stranger to the association world, and I would like to formally welcome her.
Oh, thank you, Greg. I've spent much of my professional life in the association world, including most recently as CEO of Association Interim Solutions and as President and Chief Executive Officer of the American Fire Sprinkler Association. In addition, over half of my career was spent with the Michigan Townships Association, where I had numerous interactions with assessors and even some of our partners, such as Tyler Technologies. I also held a realtor's license, so I have a good basic background in appraisal and assessment when I started at IAAO. There has been a lot to learn, but I look forward to learning more and working with all of you.
And she's doing a great job. One of the reasons I have stayed in this industry for so long is all the networking connections I've made over the years. I think this is a great industry, but one that not a lot of people may know about, as too often the only interaction is in relation to seeing how much their house is worth and or how high their property taxes are going to be. I think assessment is a noble profession and one I plan to promote during my year as president. We would like more people to think of this as their chosen career as opposed to just being an accidental assessor who fell into the job, like many of us. To do that, we are working to make more people aware of the profession through efforts like personal videos telling our story of how we got into the profession, why we stay, and why we would encourage others to join us. We know everyone isn't able to join us for meetings, so IAAO has been working on the videos to help tell more about IAAO and our board members. Recently, I sat down in IAAO and filmed a segment about my background with IAAO and assessing, and would like to share it with you. I'm sure we all have stories on how we got into this crazy profession and think they're important to tell. Here is my story. The first time I ever heard about it was when I had already been signed up for my first class by my boss. And he kept saying IAAO, and I actually, that's before Google. So I had to ask him several times to repeat what that meant. And I wrote it down and then did a little research on the association. But that was my first hearing of them or anything. I actually joined IAAO National first. Reason being, I went to a couple of IAAO courses early in my career and was really intrigued by the curriculum, the instructors were awesome. Everything was very personal and very geared towards how can I be successful in this occupation that I knew nothing about. And that really got me interested and kind of primed to become an IAAO member. My story is probably, it's unique to me, but every person I've talked to in this industry has a unique story because we don't aspire to be that as kids growing up. We fall into it, or circumstances of another job or something, connection with a friend. In my particular case, I was getting out of grad school, trying to wrap up grad school. I was in a trainee program for a federal job with a farm services agency. And a month before graduation, they put a freeze on hirings. So the job I thought I had disappeared. And about the same time, my wife Tani and I found out we were expecting. We'd been married a little over a year. And that was a surprise. And I knew we needed to have health insurance and a stable job, and probably the best place to do it would be where we were. And in Manhattan, Kansas, there aren't tons of opportunities, but there happened to be one in the local county appraiser's office. They're looking for someone with an ag background. I was an ag economics major and then business school after that, so it was kind of a natural fit. I applied for it thinking that would be about a 9.5 months job, and I would get my resume polished for the real job, and we would be moving to some metropolitan area, working at a really great salary and living the American dream. And ended up staying there now in my 32nd year. I kind of fell in love with the profession over time, had opportunities to advance over time, and that's what's kept me there. Probably the people that have had the biggest influence in my professional career happen to be from Kansas, Rick Stewart and Marion Johnson. They were course instructors for the first 2 courses I took as well. But those gentlemen were not just instructors. They were promoters of the industry, and they were promoters of IAAO and the value of being a member of IAAO and of being a member of a chapter and affiliate. And I saw them live what they were preaching. They didn't just teach it, they practiced what they preached in a big way. And no matter who you were, what jurisdiction you were from, size, etc., it didn't matter. They were interested in you as a person, and that really reached out to me as, this organization is made up of people like that. I want to be more like that. I want to see what drives their train, what got them to where they are. Why did they stay in this industry this long? And it's not an easy job. We deal with angry taxpayers and all those kinds of things, but they were passionate about it. And I was starting to feel that way too, and they really initiated that. That definition has gotten bigger and better over the years. And for me, my IAAO family is a professional level and a personal level. A lot of it started way back in those early years of taking courses, then getting into IAAO activities, and then my local chapter, our Kansas affiliate. Those relationships grew into mentors for me. They grew into people who challenged me, who were resources in my profession, and people who helped me on a personal level. I went through a bout with cancer about 4 years ago. They were there for me. Initially, I wanted to get involved because I wanted to become an instructor. I love that part of my role over the years. Is something that I enjoy doing. I like sharing with people how to do something and getting their feedback, and then watching them develop and grow and take it and run with it in my office and otherwise. So my initial interest was to try to eventually become an instructor. That was my thinking going into it. As I developed, other pathways along the way, I realized that there were other interests and other needs that I might be able to help with, and so I've been in a variety of different roles. Put your feet in the pool and then jump in. Very simple analogy, but it's true. If I would say, go to a conference. That's another thing it's hard for someone who's very new to the profession to do, sometimes budget-wise or otherwise. And I always remind people there are scholarships available for that, because once you do, it'll be a life-changing decision. Same way with a membership. You're going to have a network of your best friends, and you didn't know that family network was there. And you know, they truly are family. We are a large tent and a very diverse family, and it's very, very cool that we have so many common themes though. No matter where you're from, no matter what parcel size your jurisdiction is from, we deal with the same problems and the same solutions and the same funny experiences, and it's great to be able to share that with each other.
Thank you for sharing that, Greg. Greg's story illustrates how important his involvement in IAAO has been during his 32 years in mass appraisal. Greg developed locally and grew both personally and professionally. In addition to the series of membership videos telling member stories, we plan on publicizing and featuring members on our website and in our publications. So in the future months, look for stories in our magazine and on our website, as well as on our social media. You can also help. Currently, we promote new designees on our LinkedIn, our Facebook, and Twitter pages, as we think it is important to recognize when our members achieve a designation. I hope you are part of our LinkedIn group, and I really encourage you to promote IAAO with the hashtag IAAO and our industry on social media.
You know, another way to get recognized is through our awards program. IAAO takes great pride in recognizing individual and organizational achievements in the assessment industry. Through IAAO's annual awards program, both members and non-members can receive global recognition for excellence in property appraisal, assessment administration, property tax policy, and other related disciplines. IAAO's awards program boasts 17 categories recognizing individual and organizational achievements in several areas, including publications, technical expertise, and service to IAAO, just to name a few. Nominations are accepted through May 1st. Award winners are recognized at the annual conference. And over the past year, we have spent a lot more time online, and I've found that networking online, while different, still introduced me to new members. While I look forward to the time when we can meet in person, we can all use the new tools available to us to network.
And there are more of us to network with. Over the past few years, membership in IAAO has grown from around 7,000 to approximately 8,500 members today. While many associations have struggled to maintain membership or lost members, we're actually growing. In addition, the number of people taking part in our conference has increased from around 1,000 5 years ago to 1,500 in Niagara Falls in 2020, as well as an additional 1,200 folks that served online last year. This is not too bad considering all the pivoting that we've had to do in this past year. Our goal is to always deliver top-notch products and services to our members 24/7, 365 days a year. More people are members of IAAO because they value and they see the value of our membership. One of the areas that the board and IAAO have worked on are ways to combine to make your membership to IAAO even more valuable.
We do understand in today's challenging budgetary environment, IAAO has to continue to show our value to retain you as a member. On education, we've worked very hard to make sure courses are available to more people. In the past, members were faced with traveling and being out of the office to attend a meeting, which is not always easy. We have also changed our volunteer process, which allows many more people to serve and in many more ways. We really value our volunteers. They play an important role in the association, but we know it can be difficult to find the time to volunteer. With our new task forces focused on individual projects or goals, we believe more people can serve with a lower time commitment.
And you may have noticed we have a lot more task forces today, ranging from artificial intelligence to diversity and inclusion, and from standards to our women's group initiative group.
Diversity and inclusion is a major topic across the country today, and we want to make sure all of our members are heard. IAAO represents a wide variety of members, from those working in small township offices to the largest counties in the country. In addition, IAAO has members in Canada, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. So there is a depth of experience and views.
Diversity and inclusion can mean everything from race, gender, and ethnicity to physical abilities and age. I'm working with our D&I task force to look at future actions while we examine exactly who our members are and their needs This spring, we will be asking our members to update their IAAO profile to provide a little more information about themselves so we can better serve who IAAO is and how we can better serve all of our members and also increase our outreach to underserved constituencies. Just as assessors need to collect data to render fair and equitable assessments, IAAO is an association, and we need more data so our members can be served better. And we want to increase the worth that we provide to you. And we want to ensure inclusivity as well as to address our diverse members.
More details are coming on this project, so stay tuned. Because we represent jurisdictions across the country, diversity can mean different things in different areas. We aren't looking to see that all jurisdictions are the same, but we would like to see jurisdictions represent their communities.
Absolutely, and the makeup of our membership will be part of our strategic planning process as well. The task force, which is charged with developing a draft strategic plan for our board to review in April, is chaired by our president-elect, Wade Patterson. Among its many discussions, the task force is examining the international aspects of IAAO. Over the past year, our board of directors has had 2 presentations by consultants Terrence Barkin on our international issues. IAAO was originally established as a national organization of assessors, but in 1959, it changed to an international association. Now we are looking at what role we play across the globe in the future.
Among the questions we need to review are, what are the best and most practical international avenues to pursue, with whom, and where? We need to focus our international efforts and resources on those opportunities and partnerships that make the most sense, while also providing the best return to IAAO. 2 years ago, our annual conference went international with the meeting in Niagara Falls, Canada, and we continue to work with international groups. Unfortunately, COVID-19 forced us to cancel our international symposium this year. We were working with the Institute of Professional Auctioneers and Valuers, IPAV, in Dublin, Ireland, to coordinate the IRS with their annual meeting. But COVID restrictions will prevent that from occurring in 21.
Restrictions also mean that we are looking to offer content from our Emerging Leadership Summit in a different format this year. However, different doesn't mean it's a bad thing. For instance, our Spring Leadership Days went virtual in February, and they were very effective in providing a platform to advance our committees and our task force's work. Our next event is the GIS Valuation Technologies Conference, which we are co-hosting with EURISA. This conference will be virtual, but there's still time to register for the meeting, which will take place the last week of March.
Right now, IAAO is planning the 2021 annual conference, which is slated to take place in late August in Chicago. Limited registration is now open, and full registration and hotel room reservations will be open around April 1st. As we noted, last year's conference was virtual and was very successful, allowing many members who had never taken part in an IAAO conference to attend. With that in mind, we're looking at offering a scaled-down virtual piece this year, in addition to our in-person, featuring a virtual component of events taking place in the main hall. It won't replace the in-person conference, but for people who need just a few CE hours or who can't travel to Chicago or maybe want to offer, we want to offer a convenient alternative.
Greg, I actually grew up in Chicago and am very hopeful that we will be there in person. I hope that we will see many of our members there as we work with the venue to take appropriate measures to ensure all of our safety. In addition to the conference, IAAO members have access to our CE offerings through our educational programs, other events, and our webinars. Over the past few years, we have expanded our number of online educational opportunities to meet our members' changing needs. Members also have access to our research and standards through our exclusive library and our website. We are working to update our standards to fit the current conditions, and you may find these on our website.
You know, our standards are important and recognized around the world. I often see our standards referenced in scholarly articles, news reports, and in submissions to jurisdictions. Our slogan is valuing the world, and I know we do so using our standards. I hope this helped explain where we are today and also a little about what about our plans are going forward. While this didn't answer every question you may have about IAAO, we did receive a number of questions from members, and we'll take a few minutes to review those. If you have a question that is not covered, please feel free to use the chat option to submit your question, and we will get to as many as our time will allow. during today's town hall meeting.
How are membership levels holding up considering the COVID-19 crisis?
Oh, that's a great question. Because we do invoice on a calendar year, we've not seen much of an impact on our membership level. We're slightly behind, I would say, our January 31, 2020 numbers, maybe about 3%. But that could simply be a timing issue because we have a grace period until March 31st.
Why has IAAO increased education pricing and established member and non-member pricing?
Another great question. There's never a perfect time to increase prices, but IAAO has simply not kept up with increasing costs. So we were faced with updating our prices due to the costs. As part of that change, we established member and non-member pricing for education products, similar to what most of our peer organizations do. IAAO has established member and non-member pricing to provide members a discounted rate, focusing on members. Completing IAAO courses and designations are very cost-effective and can assist members in advancing their careers, and in some jurisdictions actually provide an increase in pay.
Does IAAO have a librarian?
Well, actually, our full-time librarian left for a different position in 2020 in Kansas City. However, we are fortunate to still have Mary Odom, who was the IAAO librarian for many, many years, and she's now handling our library and all of our research requests.
What are the steps and qualifications to volunteer for IAAO committees?
Annually, a call for volunteers occurs in months of September and early October. So there will be an online portal where members can fill out information to match their interests with IAAO needs. You do need to be an IAAO member to be appointed or elected to serve.
Will the IAAO annual conference be virtual?
Well, as we started to discuss here, we are planning an in-person conference. However, we also plan on offering a virtual component with a limited number of sessions online for those who only need a few CE credits or are unable to make it to Chicago. Currently, the prospects, though, for an in-person conference are very good, but we continue to review the situation.
What are some of the benefits of joining IAAO?
There are a lot of them, and they're probably overlooked too often. Discounts on everything IAAO does, from online courses, events, and conferences to books and webinars. Access to IAAO's library. It's a fantastic library, as well as an experienced research librarian who can provide resources and information to assist us in our work. Experienced staff who can assist with answering challenging questions and direct you to resources that would save you time and money. IAAO Connect is a great way to connect with people and ask questions. The online community for assessors by assessors. Over $80,000 per year in scholarships and grants, which I would certainly ask people to remember that that's there. We never spend all of that money, and that's what it's there for. Subscriptions to the Fair and Equitable magazine, the Journal of Property Tax Assessment and Administration, and of course our electronic newsletter, Assessing Info.
What are some ways I can get involved with IAAO?
Oh, there's a wonderful amount of ways to get involved. For instance, you could draft an article in our Fair and Equitable magazine or become part of that editorial panel. We'd love to have you. You could apply for our individual awards or our jurisdictional awards. Don't forget that our deadline on that, though, is May 1st. You could become a chapter representative. Also, consider earning one or more of our prestigious and revered, I would say, designations in the assessing profession to enhance your career. Or you could, if you want to pass on your knowledge, become an instructor. Training opportunities are available through our professional development department. We're glad to have you. Also, you could attend our national events, as we talked a little bit about our conference here. It's a great opportunity to meet a lot more people around the country or even the world. Due to the current pandemic, most of our events, however, are occurring virtually still, which is a convenient and cost-effective option, of course. Our hope and our plan right now is to conduct our 2021 annual conference at the end of August in downtown Chicago, as we've mentioned. In fact, IAAO members can volunteer to assist at this conference, which can then provide you a discounted registration rate if that's of importance to you. You could also submit a session for a future IAAO annual conference. We're always looking for speakers. And also, don't forget about our networking opportunities that we mentioned earlier. They occur through our community site, which is accessible through all of our members through Connect, on our website 24/7, 365 days a year. So there's always someone to help out. And also don't forget about volunteering to serve on a committee. It's another great way to meet and interact with other members around the globe. And I think Greg has shared his story on the importance of that.
Why did membership dues increase, and was the print version of F&E eliminated?
Yeah, each year IAAO reviews the cost of the services provided to members to ensure we're not operating at a loss. In addition, we look at what other organizations charge for membership. So IAAO is kind of in line with what the market would bear for peer groups. Even with the increase, the cost to provide services is very close to the annual membership rate, which works out to just around 60 cents a day. IAAO moved F&E magazine online for several reasons, including cost of producing the printed magazine. More members are looking for products online, and honestly, fewer industry publications are being printed.
Does IAAO have options for younger members?
Oh, absolutely. We have what's called our U40 Leadership Lab, which connects valuation professionals 40 and under to each other and to resources that will advance their careers while moving IAAO forward. We've seen several U40 members move on to important roles, not only at IAAO, but also in their jurisdictions. In addition, innovation grants funding is available to provide greater opportunities for creative and innovative members to attend and present at our annual conference, which we talked about earlier. Past studies have shown that many of our members could retire by 2026, which isn't that far away. So it's an industry that we really need to look at developing our new leaders.
Do you get a discount on IAAO dues if you're a member of a local IAAO chapter?
There's currently no discount for being a member of a local chapter. You do not have to be a member of a local chapter to be an IAAO member, though, and membership in a chapter does not include membership in IAAO.
How have virtual classes been going this last year? Is there a difference in pass-fail rates compared to in-class students?
Great questions. Our virtual classes have done extremely well this year. By the end of 2020, nearly 70% of all of the classes taught in the field were taught virtually. We worked hard by creating and facilitating our distance education instructor workshops for both our instructors and coordinators so they would feel more comfortable moving and taking that leap. To date, we've taught approximately 80 folks in that role. In addition, our pass rates for our courses have remained similar to our live classroom courses. And we've actually seen improvement, ironically, in our 101 class, meaning that the pass rates are higher for the 101 class when they were taught virtually.
With the move to online courses, will there be any financial support to chapters?
We do understand that in-person courses can help support chapters and affiliates, and we hope to see a return to more in-person courses, which can support those chapters and affiliates. IAAO will continue online courses as not everyone can attend the in-person courses.
What could I do as an IAAO member to help IAAO?
Oh, there's many. We appreciate your help and are glad that question came up. You can be involved at any level in any way to help promote IAAO and our programs to others in our industry. You can utilize and encourage others to use our resources, our standards, our publications, our courses that we offer in our programs. And lastly, don't forget to follow us on social media and promote that to your audiences.
Is a college degree required for IAAO designations?
That's something that actually changed a few years ago. IAAO now accepts alternative qualifications in lieu of holding a college degree. A bachelor's degree or an alternative involving experience or college course completion is required for the CAE designation. An associate degree or an alternative is required for any of our specialist designations, such as AAS and RES. More information is available on our website.
Are there options to designations?
Well, IAAO is working on a new option called digital badging. It's a way for members to learn material from our body of knowledge and earn a digital badge, what we're calling, which can be used on your correspondence and in social media to demonstrate your expertise. Our body of knowledge is a collection of 8 books, and members will be able to earn badges on many, many different areas. Going forward, that knowledge could assist a member in preparing for a designation or testing out of certain requirements and working towards one of our designations.
How does IAAO promote our designations?
Good question. We promote our designations to our members and prospective members through emails, in our publications, at our meetings, and in our courses. We also ask our members to promote the designations to others in their offices. We also promote designations by working with individuals and organizations regarding course equivalency and program reciprocity, as well as modifying our requirements. Example would be the alternatives to the bachelor's degree.
What is IAAO doing regarding the diversity and inclusion?
This is a topic near and dear to my heart. IAAO formed a diversity and inclusion task force, and they provided our board an initial list of projects that we could undertake and that you'll hear more about in the future. As we mentioned earlier, diversity and inclusion can encompass everything from race, gender, ethnicities, and disabilities. We've also have more than 8,500 members around the world, and we want to make sure that all of our members, all their views are heard. Our members represent jurisdictions that are extremely diverse to those that are less than diverse, but we just want to make sure and hope that all jurisdictions represent the communities that they serve.
What is the BOK or body of knowledge or compendium?
You know, it is something that sets us apart from most of our peers. We were the first ones to really do that. Several years ago, the IAAO board established a project to build a body of knowledge to be a single source of knowledge that describes the expertise required in all areas to effectively work and succeed within the assessment profession. The board believed it was very important for IAAO to be the one to develop and publish this information. The project required significant resources. However, the board determined it was a valuable project. The books are available on Amazon, and we have several task forces now that are working to coordinate the BOK with our courses, standards, and textbooks.
Is the IAAO going to continue to develop online classes?
Well, all of our courses can be taught virtually, live or online, and we are continuing to offer those. We're also continuing to create self-study online courses as well, so look for that in the future.
Why is IAAO trying to go international?
You know, more than 60 years ago, our association changed from the National Association of Assessing Officers to the International Association of Assessing Officers. And we believe IAAO has an important role to play in the promotion of our standards across the globe. In addition, a number of international organizations have contacted IAAO on global assessment issues. IAAO is currently working with Mr. Terrence Barkin, a consultant, on our future international role.
Why are sessions not accepted for CE credits in all states?
Well, we look at the geographic location of attendees and focus on the areas where we see the largest number of attendees to submit for credits. We also have to take into consideration the time and the cost to renew the CE credits. We do make information available to attendees so you can apply, or they can apply in their own jurisdiction as accepting that as submission at little or no cost from an attendee. Yet we would charge an organization a lot to pre-request CE credits.
How does the board select its meeting sites?
It can vary a little bit from year to year, but I and President-elect Patterson have looked for locations which have a strong chapter presence or potential for a presence. In addition, we look at opportunities to meet with other partner organizations to maximize our travel time to meet with other industry representatives.
Why can't I currently get a printed certificate?
Well, with more people working remotely, we made our certificates available electronically. But with a move to a new learning management system, which we're excited about here, that debuts in April, and people are returning to their offices, we'll soon be able to offer the option to have a printed certificate sent.
Big box stores have had an unfair advantage over mom and pops during the initial phase of COVID-19, being allowed to stay open while the mom and pops were ordered to close. Does this have any correlation to valuing the big boxes higher and reducing the mom and pops?
Very good question. I believe the issue is not big box versus mom and pop, but rather the relative income producing capacity of one property over another. When the income producing capability of a commercial property is reduced or eliminated by market or government forces, the assessor must recognize that in the value of that building could be lower. You still need to look at comparable sales, whether locally or regionally, if possible, and also see what difference there may be in market rents, occupancies, and capitalization rates for those property types or those investment classes through the income approach.
Why is IAAO updating the glossary for property appraisal and assessment?
Well, we're updating the glossary to reflect current terminology, and because we believe that other industry dictionaries, while helpful, do not really include all the definitions that are needed by our members. We also want to make sure that our courses, our publications, and standards use phrases in the glossary. We're also looking at incorporating illustrations on terms like COD and COV into the book.
Is IAAO recommending any course of action for adjusting distressed properties like hotels due to COVID-19?
IAAO will not be recommending any course of action beyond what is already included with our standards and education materials. The decision to adjust values and extent of that has to be based on local market conditions, which cannot be determined and therefore should not be dictated from one central point such as IAAO. I do encourage you, though, to attend the annual conference in Chicago and hear from Peter Korpaz. He's also doing another great plenary session on this very topic.
Two areas we seem to have lost support from the organization are personal property and appraisal/assessment support. For example, field staff and office management. While the new tools are fantastic, they do not work well in blizzards, after tornadoes, earthquakes, and other disasters when boots on the ground and in the office exist. Does IAAO have plans to strengthen its work in these two issues?
I think this is probably more than anything a result of lack of demand. Many states have exempted personal property, so there just isn't as much demand for personal property support from IAAO as there was a few years ago. On support for assessment administration, I think Course 400 is obviously a good course, and its entire topic is assessment administration. And the course is required for designations and also many state licenses and designations. It's also a focal point for the case study for the AAS, which is our assessment administration designation. I would also say, in addition, the conference committee typically has an entire track devoted towards assessment administration at the annual conference. And in recent years, there have been sessions that discuss things like using drones for field work, data collection for disaster assistance, et cetera.
What is PCS?
PCS is our professional consulting services. It's a for-profit subsidiary that we have that provides professional consulting services worldwide. And it's based on an understanding of the assessment challenges that confront property tax practitioners by supporting jurisdictions with plans for improving assessment practices and providing project management, quality control, and tax policy consulting services. PCS helps build political support for reforms that have been well implemented elsewhere, speeding the process by assisting individuals with very technical backgrounds speak with one another, and also sharing technical concepts and developing a consensus through pooled expertise. I can also tell you a little bit further about PCS can provide affordable solutions to complex property tax problems, professional sound advice with detailed roadmap, and also technical advice on a broad range of assessment issues.
Is there a breakdown of market segments that projects how much a particular or projects how much a particular segment is down and how long it will take to get back to pre-COVID-19 values?
I'm not aware of any such report necessarily, but Tim Wilmoth did an excellent webinar recently that provides a lot of great data points about commercial market segments and trends that seem to be occurring. If you didn't see the webinar, I'd really highly encourage you to contact IAAO and purchase that webinar, again, done by Tim Wilmoth. The IAAO board approved raising course fees by $150 for non-members. Can this be scaled back? Sorry, I just read the question. The board wanted to provide more value and benefit to being a member, and we are adding a number of new benefits, such as new learning management system, adding online courses, and a new grading system, which has gotten our results out very, very quick, just to name a few.
When might we see an online master exam?
Well, best practices have limited how we can offer master exams online, but we are looking at options for the future on that.
Those were the questions that we received in advance. I think we have a few more that have come in through the chat room. Question number one is there plans to rewrite the volunteer application criteria? I would love to see this simplified for new entrants to build greater engagement with our industry. You know, that's something that President-elect Patterson and I were faced with a dilemma when we made those committee and task force appointments this past fall. In many cases, we saw a name and we saw a jurisdiction, but there wasn't enough information necessarily on the forum to know if we could fit them into a role based on things like diversity, age, and those types of things. We do try to put a U40 on every committee or task force. We try to have an international and also an associate member, but we would like to be able to ensure that the makeup of our committees and task forces are as diverse and inclusive as possible. And there really isn't enough information on the application form yet, but that's something that's in the works. We're looking at that.
If there are specific suggestions that you have on how we can make that volunteer process more advantageous to you as a member to volunteer, I think we would be open to looking at that. So if you would like to send your comments to me, you can do so at McGuire, McGuire, @IAAO.org.
Question number two is, thanks for organizing today. Are there any plans for additional efforts, programming, certifications, et cetera, that are more relevant to jurisdictions like California, which has valuation distinctions significantly different than many jurisdictions? Efforts like this might be useful as you look to expand internationally. I would say the simple answer to your question is we're always looking at ways that we can be more relevant. And, you know, California is just one example of a jurisdiction that has different needs than some of the rest of our jurisdictions because of legislation implemented in their state. And, you know, one of the examples I would give internationally is we are looking at developing a CEAA international program, so that recognizing that folks overseas may have different practices and be at a different stage of the assessment profession than we are in the States. So we want to take some of those jurisdictional exceptions into account as much as we can, but still have a valuable program that they could take advantage of if they meet all of the requirements. Number three, looks like, is IAAO providing any insights on inutility as it relates to reduced value in machinery and equipment, which is very different than real property? You know, that's probably a question I would follow up with maybe Paul Bedanzet or one of our, Larry Clark, one of our staff. I'm not aware of any work or any studies being done for that, but I'm sure they could answer that question for you.
Right. Do we want to see if we could get Paul or Larry to speak on the line? I believe they're on our webinar here today, and we can see if they can provide greater insight to your question.
This is Paul Bedanzet, Evaluation Research Project Manager with IAAO. I'm not aware of any specific research or analysis that has been done, but we do have the very large and deep comprehensive IAAO library that Deborah brought up earlier. So if there has been anything at an IAAO conference or publication before, we will be able to help you find it and locate it in there. If there is no precedence, that sounds like a good topic for some additional research. So we would be happy to speak with you regarding initializing that. So either way, I'd recommend you reach out again to my last name, Bedanzet, at IAAO.org, and I would be happy to talk to you more in detail.
Thank you, Paul. We have a fourth question on when Master CAE exams will be available. I'm assuming they're talking about maybe making them available online. That is something that's been discussed a little bit, but as far as I know, we're not at a point where that would be happening very soon. If you do have specific questions about that or what your needs are, I would refer you to Heather Mosier. She does a fine job leading our education department, very progressive, and she could tell you more. I think she's trying to answer your question in the chat also, so might be looking for that. Looks like that's the extent of the questions. Again, you can always reach out to myself or to Heather or to some of the staff members that we've talked about specific questions, but we are here for you. We are a membership organization and will always be that. We wanted to thank everyone for attending and remind you to watch the IAAO website and those emails that we send out for new updates on IAAO. And if you have a question we didn't get to, feel free to email us. It's been a pleasure to do this today, and we hope that you see value in it. Again, please give us your feedback. Your thoughts, your feedback matter to us because I'm a member just like you are. And it's a pleasure to serve with you and for you. And so if you have a question, reach out to us. And again, thank you so very, very much for attending. Thank you, Deborah, for the opportunity and the great dream team here that's done the production behind the scenes. Please, I hope to see you in Chicago in August. Thank you.
And thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with all of you. And remember that our team here in Kansas City and across the country and world, we're here to serve you. So don't hesitate to contact us here at IAAO. We're here to serve you. Thank you.